can't play passive and then just like let him keep swinging like this. You need like the, let me pause this real quick, with the triangle of neutral, right? Passive play. Um, to beat passive nooch, do you like run up grab? That is definitely an option. Passive. Passive loses to establishing, and establishing loses to preemptive. Right, so this is our triangle. Um, you need to be paying attention to these options and taking advantage of their strengths. So, for instance, Waffle correctly identified that our opponent was doing a ton of preemptive strikes. These were the run up 5Hs, run up far slashes that were all like whiffing over and over again in Waffle's face, right? Because Waffle saw that he was whiffing these, so he started playing passive and either staying outside of the range or just letting him do his thing, right? Um, this is great, but the reason that you play passive is so that you can punish the preemptive play. If you're not punishing the preemptive play, like whiff punishing or taking space, things of that nature, then you are just losing neutral because you are letting them either continue to RPS or, in this case, actively take space on the screen. Let's see here. I play passive too much, even though I kind of need to. There was one game I just didn't do anything at all. Yeah, there are definitely games where like you get stun locked frame one and you're just left dealing with, a opponent who's just running all over the place. And like that happens. But, you know, sometimes you just gotta play passive. Game says I played versus a very passive Geo in ranked last night and I couldn't open him up and then I died. But I was also freaking out. I didn't refer to the triangle. Yeah. So, I mean, you see that it gets it. Um, and like this obviously applies to every character in the rotation, right? You got to keep rotating through these, and ideally, whenever you're playing somebody who is good, then they're trying to rotate through this triangle at one pace faster than you, right? So if they think that you're going to play passive, then they're going to start establishing. But you're like, okay, well they think I'm going to play passive, so they're going to play establishing, so I need to play preemptive, right? And it just starts the cycle of making your decisions and rotating through your options. And largely this comes through, am I going to focus on whiff punishing, right? Am I going to focus on like running up and doing throw, running up and doing 2K, running up and doing close slash, or am I going to like dash up 5H, dash up far slash, dash up 2S for the preemptive pokes and try to hit it like tipper range or right outside of tipper range in hopes that they are going to run into me. Largely, matchups have defined best options. Like for instance, with the Soul matchup, I like playing more passive and neutral since Soul has a lot of really strong specials, and a lot of times he can let him hang himself. Um, but on the other hand, a matchup like, I don't know, or I should probably say a matchup like Potemkin, you want to play it really passive. Let him whiff stuff, whiff punish it, go in, things of that nature. And same thing for Abba. Let her kind of chase you. But then on the other hand, you're a character like, uh, Testament, and Testament likes to throw fireballs, take space, try to gain some ground, land some cheeky hits, and may really prefer to be running a lot of establishing plays. So, there's a place to start, but then you see if it's working, if it's not working. If it's working, keep doing it, awesome. If it's not working, time to move on to the next one. And like the key to move on is like, let me go back to the triangle. If you're playing passive, you know it's time to move on when somebody runs up and throws you. If you're playing passive, you know it's working when you're getting whiff punishes, right? Same thing for preemptive play. You know your preemptive play is working when you're getting a lot of counter hits and doing big damage. And you know that your preemptive plays are not working when you are getting whiff punished and knocked down and things of that nature, right? So these are the clues that tell you how to shake up your neutral game. And everybody has their preferred play style and how they like to do things. But the more you mix it up and the more that you respond to what your opponent is doing, the trickier you're going to be to pin down. I think pretty much everybody in the chat right now I've played before, but I don't know if a lot of you guys noticed, but a lot of times what'll happen is we playing sets in the first, 5 or 6 games might be pretty close, and then I'll have this stretch in the later half of our sets where I'll win, 5, 6, 7 times in a row to like close out the set. And a lot of times what's happening is we're spending the first couple of matches dealing with this triangle where I'm trying to figure out which point on the triangle you are in different situations. And then once I've made a mental note of each of the points, then I just stick to rotating those options over and over again. And I'm either rotating faster than you guys, or you guys simply aren't rotating at all. And I'm just able to keep doing the same option over and over again to check the same option you guys are representing each time. Um, Holy moly. Thank you, Ginmo. That's very kind of you. Um, what the flip indeed. Ginmo the goat. I do appreciate it for sure. Thank you very much. Um, I got distracted and lost my train of thought. Do you guys have any more questions on this neutral game? I appreciate it for sure. While you're doing that, the other thing that I want to say, Waffle, that I would really recommend is you work on your combos and confirms. There were quite a few situations where you could have gotten better combos or just more value in general. A lot of times you just opted to like punish with S Dolphin, but S Dolphin punishes are actually really bad in my opinion. They don't give you anything without meter, and they are 0 on hit. Yeah, I like doing them too. They're fun. How do I punish preemptive moves when I can't waste my JR by waiting? That's a great question. Um, let's look. Let me switch over to ABBA real quick, and I'll show you some ideas. Let's set the soul to... Actually, I probably need to switch it around. Okay. Bye, Waffle. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to swap it around, and we're going to pretend that we're the soul. Or I'm the soul, and you're the ABBA, right? Yeah, thanks for joining. I'm glad we can type in all caps now. So, what I want to do here is let's do recordings. We'll turn this off for right now. Yes, exactly. You are the ABBA. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set character specific settings, jealous rage, enter jealous rage. We're going to set it at 75. So like this is like you've gotten hit, but you're in neutral. Or I guess we can even set it to like 60 if you wanted. There's a little bit of shimmying. So a lot of times the way that I like to play versus preemptive is, like you mentioned, backdashing is really good. So let me show you this. Let's do a little recording. And what we're gonna do is I'm going to have the ABBA. What just happened? Oh, backdash, maybe something like that. So like, let's say I'm the soul and I want to interrupt what you're doing with like 2K. Right, I turned off the recording. Recording settings, enable. So like you can do stuff like that. If they try to do for like a bigger punish, you know what I mean, you can shimmy them out that way. And now they're blocking. Or maybe you're blocking, right? So like a lot of times it's not a big deal. So that's one way. And then you can start running pressure. Then if they are like catching on, like you said, so like let's say they are now waiting for you to swing into them. I actually realize I'm just going to have this stay on forever. You know, like let's say they're now waiting for that backdash. Then you can just straight go right into it because they're waiting for the backdash and then to punish you. So then you can mix it up by going directly in with an establishing play, right? Because if we go back to our triangle, right? Passive, preemptive, establishing. I can't spell. Exactly, they moved on from the point. Exactly. So if they are doing a preemptive play by striking out, nice. If they are doing a preemptive play by striking out with far slash as you approach, then you can do your passive play as ABBA by the backdash into whiff punish. And if they move on to try to punish this passive play, they're going to punish it by either being passive themselves or by establishing, right? So maybe they start running in and doing far slash instead. So like let's say we do this and they start doing stuff like that, right? Like they just start running in because they're expecting you to backdash. You know what I mean? Like they see that you're doing a lot of that. So now they're going to start running in and trying to hit you. That's them moving to establishing plays. And it's not all just two options because like let's say they like to run in 2S, then that's where you could 236K to go over it if that still works. Or you can jump and do like IID stuff. Something that I like to do a lot as ABBA and neutral is like dash jump, just like stuff like that. And then I mix it up by doing a second jump. You know what I mean? So a lot of times the neutral is, am I going to run in 5H, run in 2K? Am I going to run in backdash, run in 2K? Am I going to, run in overhead? Am I going to do stuff like that? Right? There's all this stuff that you can feint one way or another to try to discourage somebody from just waiting, right? And so like for instance, running up and doing close slash or running up and doing 2K, that's a preemptive play. Sorry, establishing play. That's an establishing play. That's an establishing play. Doing stuff like that is establishing but risky. It's honestly more preemptive, methinks. Because blocking it, which would be the passive version, will get you punished or lose your turn outright. And you gotta make sure to space it so that way you're not like point blank in their face, but obviously that's way easier said than done just because of how much momentum you get from the run. So like you have to be like out here, really far back, to not get yourself punished. For everybody that's watching, um, let's set the soul to throw on block. If Abba, oh, I don't know if I can make the bot do this. Let me switch. The overhead's -2, is what I'm getting at. So you can a lot of times get a punish if she has too much momentum, and this is universal. It's also why IB punishing the overhead is good because it guarantees a punish at all ranges basically. But obviously that's extremely difficult. So now let me, yeah. So he's starting to throw. If you don't like mess up your time, you can see it's a punish. Even if you try to do it from pretty far away, run and overhead is throw punishable. You have to do it from like really far out to not get throw punished. So that's, you know what I mean, something to keep in mind. But again, I like doing stuff like that is always really good. Does that answer your question on how to deal without wasting too much jealous rage gauge? Stuff like I think is really good. I just make sure I have a meter to do the 2K gem 2K mix if I want to hop in. Yeah, for sure. I mean that's certainly not a bad option by any means. Oops. Um, Sometimes what I will do is instead of like running backdash 5H, I will do run in backdash and then run in for an establishing play. Because what I've done here is I've feinted a passive play, and now I'm rotating straight into an establishing play to beat their passive play. Right? And this also works if like they're whiffing. So like a lot of times if I run in and I backdash and they've whiffed a button, people may not be ready to mash immediately again, right? Because the way to stop somewhat ABBA from doing like run in, backdash, run in would be to like basically hit far slash the first time, whiff it on the backdash, and immediately hit far slash again. And like that, if somebody's doing that, that's a signal to you about the type of player that you're fighting against. Um, and even still, them blocking 5H is not bad. You can just do 5H Rekka, 5H Rekka, delayed Rekka. You know what I mean? Like you've got options on how to run pressure. I'm trying to test something. I'm trying to see if this time's a meaty. Oops. It looks like it does. I've been scared to get in and mix lately. Sometimes you just got a lot of rip. I mean, that's kind of like one of the advantages of Abba's like jealous rage mode is like she can just let it rip. And I mean, it's great. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just because so much of her stuff is like so safe. I've been using mids and safe stuff instead of actual good mix. Well, I mean, I don't know how much I can help on that. I will say though that the new throw change is awesome. I would really recommend this setup is awesome. That's honestly the main way that I mix people when I play ABBA. Is score, like go to score a hard knockdown and then do, you know what I mean, the fuzzy mix. Absolutely. So ABBA has a lot of different options. Um, that mix is honestly the best. I think like stuff like 236H is or K is really good, but I think a lot of times it gets overhyped because of how strong it is, and you just need to make sure to use it sparingly. Um, like if you overuse it, then it becomes an obvious tool in your kit, and you'll start to get punished for it, or it'll just be blocked out, and now you're having to RPS and Jealous Rage, which is ultimately really bad. I know we were talking about stagger pressure yesterday, but a lot of times it can be better to just do, like, instead of, let me set the counterattack. Like, instead of doing, you know, just this normal block string and now you're -2 and having to RPS, you can do, like, you know what I mean, stuff like this. Or once you've staggered the first time, you're like letting them know that they should be considering mashing, and that may help you score a counter hit on the 2H, or like going for something else. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these different strings, and a lot of times I will mix up my strings, even though they may virtually do the same thing or even be worse. They can help, you know, make it visually different and add to the mental stack. Because if you just do this every time, people are going to see 2H and then they're just immediately going to stand up. So that's sometimes why I like doing 2D, since it's a little bit faster. And I'll do stuff like that. Or honestly, you could just, you know, go straight into it again. I'll do stuff like that to just try to like mix up the block strings and keep the mental pressure high, because people are afraid of Jealous Rage Appa, and so you want to like take advantage of that fear and that antsiness that they have. Cool. Okay, let's look at our last one from Sludge. Let me get rid of my triangle here. Oh my god. Alright. Bedman. This is a funny matchup. Alright, right off the bat, don't jump. Alright. Nice. Nice. I didn't think you would get a pickup there, to be honest. That was great. Donzai on round start just seems rather risky to me. Not because you're actually going to get punished, but it just seems like a waste of a lot of meter for... I'm not sure why. Okay. He likes... I usually don't do that. He likes to Wild Assault. I see. Oh, right. This is Chumpy. Alright. So here's already a few things I see. Nice. Nice backdash. That hurts. Honestly, Slutters, this stuff is looking a lot better every time we play. I mean, I think this stuff looks great. Nice. Didn't react to the deflect shield, and now you're burnt. You can parry the projectiles. That would be what I would recommend for that. Alright, let's talk about some bedman stuff. I imagine a lot of you guys are not super familiar with bedman, as he's not very popular. But there's a couple of key things that I want to show you that I think can really help in the matchup. And this is universal. I mean, this applies to Testament or Abba, Soul. Anybody can take advantage of this stuff. So a couple of things that I want to make a note of is, first off, let's take Abba and make her normal. And then let's set all guard blocking enabled. Great. And then counterattack, let's do, for now we'll do nothing. So a couple of things. 2S and a 2H is very common for bedmans to do. As you can see, it is negative 15. So this means that he needs to cancel into a special. He has a couple of different specials that he can choose from. His options are Beyblade, and this is gapless or can be made into a frame trap. But it is negative 12 on block right in your face, so you get a guaranteed close/punish if you ever block the Beyblade. Next, he's got Bomb Arm. Bomb Arm is +3 and guard crushes, and as you can see, it's like easily one of his best moves. He can charge it up and be more plus or do all sorts of crazy stuff with it, right? So you just need to be mindful of this move. That being said, it is mashable. You can do lots of different stuff to it. I'll do standing K if as an example. What? Right. Oh my god. There we go. Sometimes you do need to be wary of the distance. But as you can see, it's pretty consistent. He extends himself pretty far, especially in the corner. He's not getting away with it, except at like max range. And this is where like FDing him can actually be a problem sometimes. So like if you set him to faultless defense, he can frame trap you easier. So that's something that you should be aware of. Been using 2S instead of 5H. It's hard when they're in the air and far away. Honestly, I think 5 or 6P is probably better, or just letting him have it, to be honest with you. But let me talk about the last one here, which is the projectile. The projectile is -6, as you can see. Oh, and Jealous Rage, yeah. The projectile is -6, so there's a fair bit of counterplay that can happen here. Even at closer ranges, like if he cancels out of it early, -11 if he's even close. So like if you don't, I'm gonna turn off FD real quick. If he's like in your face and does projectile, -11, that's a guaranteed far/punish. Let's do far/. So it does frame trap, so you can't just mash it. But it's a punish if it reaches. And if it won't reach, like if it's a little bit further out, then he is a bit safer. But you can a lot of times do stuff like 5H if you block it, and it'll hit him. And for him, his 6P will whiff. So you're pretty safe to just hit 5H afterwards if you don't think that the far slash is going to reach. And obviously if you land it, then you get a huge punish. At further ranges it'll clash like that, but like I said, I mean that's no problem for you. You can FD cancel or try to go for something else. So again, he's got Beyblade, which you just want to block and close slash punish. He's got the projectile, which you either want to hit far slash or 5H. And then he's got bomb arm, which you want to mash on. A lot of times the way that I treat these block strings is really I'm just waiting and looking for the bomb arm. It has 24 frames of startup. When I do FD cancel, when do I FD cancel? Anytime you clash. You can cancel your clashes into FDs. So like as an example, let me see if I can get these two to clash real quick. Probably need to be a little bit further out. So I don't know if you saw it there. I canceled into it really quickly. So anytime you clash, instead of canceling into another move, you can cancel into FD. And this is oftentimes what I recommend. Like if you do like a media attack on somebody with something that's disjointed, and they do a reversal super, it never hurts to just hold back FD, because it'll either clash and then you can FD cancel and you can block it, or you'll get hit and you don't spend the meter on the FD. Or if you're lucky enough, it's within the first 2 frames of activation and you can Kara your special move into FD and just block outright anyways. So something to keep in mind. Typically in this matchup, Bedman just dominates the air. So it oftentimes is not worth dealing with what he's trying to do up there. You can try and 6p him. It's really hard to do. Funny enough, you can actually 5k him a lot. So let me character select. Let's swap this around real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And this also applies to a lot of characters. And we'll take round start as an example, because a lot of times Bedman will want to jump back, air dash forward, jump S as a round start option. It's highly evasive, really good stuff. Let me get it right. So he'll want to do stuff like that. And a couple of things we've got here. So we'll set him to replay. Obviously you can 6p him, you can 2S, you can really preemptively 5k. Obviously it's a lot harder than the other ones. But like if you react to the jump, and other characters have bigger 5ks, then you can do this a little bit more consistently. Like May can do it pretty consistently, but obviously also 236k right off round start works, or you can go under it with 236 214k. So 236 hits him, 214 goes under it, 2s beats it, 6p beats it, 5k can trade with it. If you really want to get crazy, you can do like immediate jump H. I don't like that option, but it does exist. A lot of times what I may do is like micro dash and then react. Right? So like I'm dash blocking, and then I'm just looking, and if he jumps, then I'm immediately hitting 6p. Right? So that's an option. A couple other things that Abba can do in particular is because when she blocks this, she's in guard crush state. Abba can parry it a lot of times. Counterattack. What is her parry called? I'll just switch back. And I'm trying to remember this tech because this was specific. I play a bedman player a lot, and this comes up occasionally. Training settings, recording settings, turn that off. Set. What is it called? Frenzy and Astonishment? Nope. Okay, Frenzy and Astonishment. And I don't know if you noticed, the frame advantage is actually lower. So now, it was -3. In some scenarios, it can be up to -9 for the defender. Like, bedman can be like +3 to +9, depending on how late into the active frames he hits with the bomb. But if Abba parries it, then she's only -2, and she gets 25% more Jealous Rage gauge. So for a lot of moves that have these like guard crushes to them, the parry can be super helpful. This is obviously a harder to land, but you can still do it on reaction. Yeah, you just gotta be careful where you successfully land your parries. The last thing I'll say about Bedman, and this is again applicable to everybody, his 6H is a level 4 normal. You should FD it because he can true string it into bomb arm. But if you FD it, it'll whiff, and then you can whiff punish it. So stuff like that works, even at like point blank ranges. Yeah, sorry. With running momentum, point blank, it'll still connect. But if he's a little spaced out, it will whiff. So a lot of times, bedmans, will want to like run in and like do a little pressure, whatnot. It is what it is. He can also do the break, but he's negative on those two, and you can mash on that. Okay. There's only one set for us to watch, so I don't have a lot more to say. Do any of you guys have any questions about Bedman? Or Abba? Yeah, you should FD high level attacks because they have more pushback. The higher the attack level, the further the pushback. So take a look at this. That was an attack level 4. That was an attack level 1. And you can see they don't go as far back. This is especially important in the Soul matchup. So like let's do Soul versus Mei. I mean, because that's who I play. I mean, personally, I recommend that you guys just FD everything. FDing is really, really strong in general. But so, for instance, take a look at this. If you do not faultless defense Soul in the corner, and he runs up, he's going to do close slash, far slash, 5H. Or let me stop him from mashing. Right, all that connects. Soul could even like loop far slashes. Like it's just like he can do this forever. I think I've been FDing too much, only because I don't actually use it to escape because I'm scared. Well, that's a separate problem other than the FDing. But let me turn this back on to faultless defense. So if you FD this, even with running momentum, the 5H still whiffs. So this means that if you FD Soul's pressure, he has to go for like running in 2Ks or like some form of a reset to try to get you to stop FDing him and to keep his pressure going. I actually just realized that the Guilty Gear was like way zoomed in. Sorry about that. So that is something that is relevant for everybody. And this is part of like they made this change to Soul in like season 2 or 3, like a long time ago, to make his far slash higher attack level. because of this like loopingness, they wanted it to lose to FD. And so you can see after the second one, now it's whiffing. And now he has to get pushed out again. So that's a couple of, you know what I mean? But also, this changes if you crouch. Standing FDing pushes opponents further away. Not to say that FDing in general is not good versus Soul. But as you can see, like he can make the 5H still connect and frame trap if you crouch block. On standing block, it will whiff always. On crouching, he can make it connect. So, ideally, you want to try to FD a lot of like you want to FD the first 2 hits of Soul's pressure by standing, and then you can interact by either hitting 2K to try to like low profile the 5H or the far slash, or jumping out, things of that nature. When should I hold versus flicker FD? Someone told me to hold on meaties. It doesn't really matter. All that really matters is that you're FDing at the time that you connect to the opponent. So whatever works better for you. Typically, flickering just uses less meter because you're not holding it. Like as you can see, even though I'm not blocking, it can still go down. So typically I will just hold for a little bit, and if I don't think a move is coming that I care about, I'll stop FDing. Like it really doesn't matter if you FD like level 2, level 1 moves. Like you can see, like running in 2K 2D is not going to push him back at all. But FDing a 5H is going to push him way far back. So it really depends on like what moves you anticipate coming and what the reward and the risk is. I've been watching a lot of like Totsu Bunker's games just because they're a great May player and I can learn stuff. And I mean, they FD everything constantly. So yeah, you may find that the reward for FDing lights is not worth it, or that it is. This is something that's going to largely depend between matchups and characters. But if you are low on resources meter and you're concerned about it, I would definitely FD meaties, definitely FD like 5Hs, far slashes, and things of that nature, and probably not to worry too much about like lights, dusts, 5Ps, things of that nature. It's just not a big deal a lot of times. And that'll help you get you out. I a lot of times don't FD projectiles unless I'm worried about chip, since that doesn't actually gain you any pushback. And a lot of times I will try to IBFD on wake up specifically, because you can see it pushes you all the way back. Like I'm out of there. And that's definitely not too hard to do. If you IB it, I don't know what Soul's thing is. But you can see a lot of times an IBFD just gets you right outside of it. Now he only gets one more far slash before he gets to start RPSing or really do anything. Okay. If nobody has any more questions, I'm probably going to wrap it up a little early because I'm kind of hungry and my wife and I are going to lunch. But if anybody's got any more questions, I'm happy to answer them.